All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Laura Cahill. I'm one of the district technology coaches, and we are here tonight to get an overview of the math curriculum from the math liaison, Vicki Roman. Hi, Vicki.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. All
All right, let's get going.
right, great. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. As Laura said, my name is Vicki Roman, and I am the math liaison for Worcester Public Schools. What that means is that I work on curriculum development as well as implementation for pre-K through 12 for all things math. And I support all learners, including teachers, students, administrators, and the instructional coaches within the district. I work out of our Office of Curriculum and Professional Learning, and that is headed by our manager, Dr. Magdalena Gañas. The first thing I'm going to speak about is what curriculum is. A lot of times when you hear that term, people think it just refers to a textbook, and there's really a whole lot more to curriculum. It refers to the knowledge and skills that we want our students to learn in the different grade levels. It refers to the objectives that they're being taught, and these objectives are based on standards. And I will speak more about standards in a minute on the next slide. Teachers are developing lessons, and within those lessons, students are working on activities, they're doing practice, they have a variety of assignments, they have projects that may be individual, they may be collaborative with other students. It does include, of course, their textbook, but it also includes technology pieces, videos that they may watch, and assessment is also part of curriculum, as it is important for our teachers to see where our students are, and so that way they can make adjustments to what they're doing in the classroom to ensure that our students are learning these standards. Together, all of these components make up what we call curriculum. I'm going to talk about the Massachusetts Curriculum Framework. I'll give you a little bit of history on that. In 1993, the Massachusetts Education Reform Act came around, and basically what it said was that teachers cannot just teach whatever they want to students in their classrooms. So it established these standards, and they define what students are learning at the different grade levels in the different content areas. So the first set of standards in math were adopted in 1995. They were revised in 2000. And then along came the Common Core state standards in 2010. So once again, we meshed what we already had as our Massachusetts state standards with the Common Core state standards. And finally, just recently in 2017, a committee was brought together again to refine them and make sure that our students are learning everything they need to be college and career ready. The importance of these standards is to ensure consistency within all of our schools in the district to make sure students, no matter what classroom they are in, if they are in fourth grade math, they're learning the same thing in one classroom in one building as they are in another. So it's consistency in our district, and it's also consistency across all districts in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This slide gives you a link if you'd like to pull up any of the frameworks. Again, they're not just for math, they're for each of the disciplines, but the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education publishes these, and there are also family guides, so there is a link there as well. So these standards describe a vision of what it means to be a mathematically proficient student in this century. So that is for the math standards that I'm talking about. Students who are what are considered to be college and career ready demonstrate academic knowledge and skills, as well as practices necessary to enter and succeed in either entry-level college credit-bearing courses or entry-level workplace training. So when we think about math, we do have the actual content they're doing, but then there are these things called practices that are helping them to do well beyond the classroom and the workplace. So these practices that I just spoke of are listed right here, and they apply to students across all grade levels. So while it may look different in a second grade class than a 10th grade class, all of our students are working on these practices, and these are skills that are going to help them, again, outside of the classroom and outside of the workplace. They describe the ways that students, as developing practitioners of mathematics, are engaging with the subject matter as they grow in mathematical maturity from elementary to middle and high school. As I said, in 2010, a lot of the states adopted the Common Core state standards, and there was what they considered the shift in the old standards to the newer standards that we're working with. And that shift was three things. It was on focus, coherence, and rigor. So before, there were just a whole bunch of standards. They refined them, so there are many fewer standards that teachers are now working with at each grade level. There's coherence from one grade to another, and there's what we call mathematical rigor. So this is a graphic that is from the state, and it shows that mathematical rigor is composed of these three other triangles that you see. The green triangle is the way that most people were taught math when they were in school, procedural fluency, just learning your facts, memorizing, things like that. And with this shift, we're saying in order to have this rigorous instruction, you need to have a balance of this procedural fluency, conceptual understanding in the purple triangle, and the ability to apply your mathematical concepts to applications, which you see in the yellow triangle. So not only do we want students to be able to do math, we want them to understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and know how they can apply it in real life situations. All of the mathematics programs that we are using in the Worcester Public Schools deliver standards-based content and allow our students to engage with those 8 standards of mathematical practice. Students access the programs through Clever. Clever is our single sign-on digital learning platform. It is used in our district. It houses apps for all of our programs in one place, allowing your student time to spend on learning rather than signing in. For any district-issued device, when you open up a Chrome, Clever is one of the tabs that is pushed out to students automatically to make things easier for them. I have listed the website on this slide, and you can see the C, that's the Clever icon in the center of the screen, and the programs and apps we're going to be talking about this evening for math are the ones that you see right there. I'm going to begin with pre-kindergarten math. Students in pre-kindergarten are using a program called Building Blocks. And this is the only one where not every pre-K student has online access at this point. The district is in the process of purchasing additional licenses so that all students have this access. Pre-kindergarten in Massachusetts refers to students that are older 4-year-olds and younger 5-year-olds. And the standards are promoted through play and exploration activities, and they're embedded in daily activities. This is the only grade level that students are not limited to learning their math in what's considered a classroom math block. So they're exploring and they're talking about math and they're developing their understanding of math throughout the day. They don't just sit and do math for a specified period of time. They're formulating their ideas from experiences with real objects and materials. So manipulatives are a big thing with these younger students. The focus in pre-kindergarten, if you have a student in this grade band, is 2 critical things. The first is developing an understanding of whole numbers through 10, and this includes concepts of one-to-one correspondence, counting, cardinality, and comparison. And secondly, students really focus on recognizing 2-dimensional shapes and describing spatial relationships where they can sort and classify objects. In pre-kindergarten, more learning time is devoted to their sense of number quantity than to any other concept in math. This Building Blocks program that we purchased helps students with all of these things. It ranges from designated math activities to circle and story time, and it helps students relate their informal math knowledge to more formal math concepts. It builds on their experiences and integrates ways to explore with manipulatives, computers, and books. It offers both low-tech hands-on manipulatives that I spoke about, as well as interactive high-tech activities, and that use active participation to develop their understanding of math. Then we have elementary math. Students in grades K through 5 use enVision math as their core curricula and ST math as an enhancement. I'm going to talk right now about grades K to 2. On the left-hand side, you'll see 2 icons, Pearson Easy Bridge and Savvis Easy Bridge. So in their Clever accounts now, students will see the Pearson Easy Bridge, but that will change because the company was bought out. And we also have our penguin named Gigi, and Gigi is our penguin for ST math. So enVision is a comprehensive curriculum. So as I spoke about, it's everything that's involved in the lessons, and enVision provides all of that to our teachers and students. There's problem-based learning, which we'll look at in a moment. There's visual learning and personalization for all students that use this program. ST Math, the ST stands for spatial temporal, and its approach of having students manipulate objects in space and time. I'm also going to show you what ST Math looks like. I'll jump on the site. The program is very unique. It has students work with visuals, and then they connect those ideas to symbols, language, and discourse. Students, again, as a visual program, are able to build this conceptual understanding because they have less barriers that they would have with, working with textbooks and things. There are no language barriers, and everything is accessible to everyone. Another thing with the program is it is 100% mastery based. So students need to achieve mastery at each level before they can move on. And this is different for every student. And so each student has their own path that they're taking to do this in ST Math. They're not just guessing at multiple choice, and they're learning as they go through the program. If you have a student in kindergarten right now, they are focusing on using numbers to count and group objects. They're comparing objects in different groups and beginning to add and subtract. If you have a student in first grade, they're understanding how to count and how addition and subtraction are related. Counting, addition, and subtraction are related, and they're beginning to work with place value and two-digit numbers, understanding that there are tens and ones. If you have a student in second grade, they're understanding place value in numbers up to 1,000, and they're continuing with addition and subtraction with those larger numbers. I'm going to take a moment to jump out of this screen and show you some of these programs. So the first is ST Math, and this is a kindergarten activity. So they have this penguin. Again, it's all visual, and there are no instructions. So if I'm a student, I'm just kind of clicking around, nothing's happening. What do I do? Oh, these are being highlighted. Well, maybe I want the pinks to match the blue. So I might say, I'm going to add 7 more. And now I'm going to click here. And I see what happens. And that didn't work. So then the kids are going to say, am I matching the pink with the pink? And that's what they want to have. So they're learning. This is match count, but this is just a kindergarten activity. They have an activity. I haven't gone into our grades 3 through 5 yet, but this is just while I'm in here to show you, because they start to work with fractions. So I guess I'm just gonna hit this. So I noticed that the penguin was standing on a circle, and the circle kind of unwrapped and stopped at 1. So I'm thinking, oh, this represents a whole, so maybe I'll move this to 1. And so this is how it's building students' understanding of fractions with that. I'm going to jump back into the slides. And as I said, K through 5 uses the same program. So the only difference with enVision is that for our younger students here in K to 2, they have what's called the early learning theme. So when they open up their screen, they're really just seeing the assignments that their teachers assign to them. They do have access to tools as well as the e-text online, but it's less busy on their screen as it is for 3 through 5. So I'm going to talk about 3 through 5, and then we will look at the enVision platform. So again, we're still using the same programs in 3 through 5. If you have, so one of the things that is important also with all of our programs, our students in grades 3 through 8, as well as 10 for mathematics, take the MCAS. So with the new standards and everything, the testing went from paper and pencil based to computer based testing. And so there are what they call technology enhanced test items that require students to be able to drag and drop and other features, which we will look at. But just so you're aware, each of these programs that the district uses allows students ample time and opportunity to practice with this type of technology before they engage with high stakes testing. If your student is in grade 3, they're understanding multiplication and division and the relationship between the two. They're beginning to work with fractions and how they represent real world situations and making connections between multiplication and the area of shapes. For students in 4th grade, they're solving multi-step problems using all 4 operations, and they're understanding that multiplication and division can be used to compare quantities, working with understanding equivalent fractions as well as unit fractions. And students in 5th grade, if you have them, are solving problems with fractions for addition and subtraction. They're using all 4 operations to work with decimals, and they're also beginning to solve problems using the coordinate grid. So I'll jump out and show you what the enVision platform looks like. So they're entering again, I said it changed names to Savis. And so as a student, this is just the regular platform. As I said, for grades K to 2, they have a different screen, which is just less busy. But as a student, I would access this platform. And the first thing is browse. So if I click in here, I'm going to have access to my text. Topics are basically like chapters in a book. And then each of my lessons are in there. In my class, my teacher can push out assignments to me in this platform. So now I see that my next assignment is, or the last assignment was due on October 27th. And then I've already completed 5 assignments and I'm able to go in and view my grades. So this is just one nice place for everything math for students in our K to 5 classrooms. This is a solve and share problem. So that visual learning that every enVision lesson begins with starts here. It has the ability to read.
About how much money will all the shirts cost? Solve this problem any way you choose. A school club.
So one of the things with these solve and shares is that they all say solve this problem any way you choose. So it's not limiting the way that a student does something, and it's actually trying to get engagement of all students to see what are the different ways we do this. So it's nice because students have access to drawing on here. They can type, they can erase, they can add manipulatives if they need counters. They're able to do anything that they want in this. So it is interactive that way. So that is what the enVision platform looks like. Again, they do have access in here to their text, to their topics, each of the lessons. They're able to see videos, they have games that they can play, and there's also something called another look. So if they had their lesson with their teacher, but they're still not understanding what they're doing, they're able to come in here and have another look at how to do the math. All right. In middle school math, which is grade 6, so in Worcester schools, our 6th grade students are at the elementary school, so they are still using enVision. However, they are using the enVision's middle school program because as our state standards are defined, grade 6 is considered secondary, so it is part of the middle school program. So still enVision, just the middle school piece, still using ST Math. And in grade 6, if you have a student there, their focus areas are on solving word problems with ratios and rates, understanding and using negative numbers. They're writing, using variables to write expressions and equations, and solving problems related to area, surface area, and volume. Laura, do we have any questions before we go into middle school?
Nope, we're all set.
All right. So in our middle schools, in Worcester, which physically house grades 7 and 8, our students are using Big Ideas Math as their core, and then they have ALEX as their curricular enhancement. ALEX is used for grades 7 through 12, so what I speak to in middle school for ALEX also applies when I get to the high school slide, but I will not repeat the information. So Big Ideas, their whole program is based on the Universal Design for Learning. It's a fun and innovative program for students with hands-on activities and scaffolded instruction. It brings them from surface level concepts to deep level learning, allowing them to transfer skills to new concepts in a comprehensive way. There are learning targets and success criteria with each of the lessons, so students know exactly what they need to do. There's explorations that they do to help with their growth mindset and to engage them in what we call the productive struggle in mathematics, which is really being able to grapple with a problem and use tools and resources to work your way through it. All of this builds that conceptual understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it. There's a strong emphasis in the program on problem solving, and there's a lot of work with real life situations. So that's that core piece. And then Alex is the online product. The nice thing is that it's available to students at any time, and there's also personalized one-to-one instruction at any time that they are logged into it. Alex stands for Assessment and Learning in Knowledge Spaces, and it's an artificially intelligent assessment and learning system. So the most important feature of it is using artificial intelligence and adaptive questioning to map each student's knowledge. So Alex knows at any given moment, with respect to each individual topic, whether or not that student has mastered a topic. So if not, and the student is not ready to learn, Alex slows them down. It uses the knowledge to make the learning more efficient, and it's continuously offering students a selection of only the topics where their skill level is. So they're not feeling frustrated or like they can't do something, because it's working with them at their level. And in doing so, it's building confidence and learning momentum for them. So as students work through the Alex course, they're reassessed periodically, not only to make sure that they've completed the material, but that they're retaining the material. If your student is in grade 7, their focus area is on real world problems using ratios, rates, and proportions. They're using rational numbers, and they're solving problems involving area, radius, and circumference. They're also beginning to work with 2 different sets of data. If you have a child in 8th grade, they're beginning to understand and use linear equations to solve problems. This is items that were traditionally in algebra courses. Again, with the shift in the standards, a lot of what was traditionally 9th grade algebra has been moved into our 8th grade standards. They're also understanding and using functions. They're exploring and using the Pythagorean theorem for right triangles, and they are creating linear equations to model real life data. I'm going to jump out here and show you what Big Ideas Math and Alex looks like. So for Big Ideas Math, here's a lesson for a student. So within their lesson, they have their key ideas, there are examples, there's assessment, everything in there. But as I talked to you about, one of the features with all of our programs is these tech enhanced questions that are helping them with testing. So drag and drop just means I can select an item and it's looking for me to drop it into one of these 3 spaces. And then the student, submits their answer and it lets them know if it's right or wrong. As with enVision, it has speakers so it can read to the students. It also has your online manipulatives, which enVision has and I didn't show. So if they're working with solving equations, the teacher can say, please represent 5x minus 6 equals negative 3x plus 2. And the students are able to take this, use it, map it out. They've got, their pencil. So I can say, okay, this is 5x minus 6, and they can share their screen, they can do the math, they can work it out and show all of that. So that is what Big Ideas Learning looks like. And then Alex, again, for grades 7 through 10, students are actually working with a pie. So when they begin Alex, they're taking what's called an initial knowledge check, and they're seeing how much they know. So the idea is that each one of these pie slices is completely filled when they're done. And although I say completely filled, 85% is considered mastery in this program. But what it's showing me at the top here is that my student has already mastered 203 topics, and they've learned 35. So within the program, they've learned more, but they haven't yet been assessed on them. So I don't know if they've mastered them yet. And then there are 387 remaining. So this is a student that just came in. I know where some of their strengths are. I know where their weaknesses are. And they're able to see as we're building, because all of these topics are right here on the right-hand side in Alex. All right, moving on to high school. So high school math has our students using Glencoe High School Math. Alex and the Glencoe series are all part of McGraw-Hill. So once our students enter into Clever, they then select the McGraw-Hill app and they have access to their high school books. So this is Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, as well as Alex here. So one of the big things with the Glencoe High School series is that there are easy to use tools for practice, reinforcement, and extension, and still students are building on what they know to progress confidently to new concepts. In addition to the core textbook, they also have that interactive textbook as we saw in the elementary and middle school programs. And they have multiple opportunities throughout each lesson for reflection, higher order thinking, and application of the content. The math practices are highlighted in each of the lessons in these high school pieces, as well as performance tasks and chapter projects. And as with the other programs, there are these technology enhanced practice problems that students can work with, especially in high school where they have not only MCAS, but a lot of their testing requirements if they're applying to college. So with the high school math program, there are 6 focus areas, regardless of what course the students are in. And those are number and quantity, algebra, functions, modeling, geometry, and statistics and probability. I'll just out one more time. Again, they're using Alex, which we just saw with that pie visual. And this is a geometry class, but the students are able to go in and they're able to get tutors. They're able to look at vocabulary. They can watch videos. They practice. They can just select whatever chapter it is, and whatever lesson they're on. And then they too have access to playing with transformations. What am I doing? What do I want to do with it? How am I centering it about the origin? And then they can visually see what's happening as they do these transformations. So that is our high school program. So again, my name is Vicki Roman, and I am the math liaison from the Office of Curriculum and Professional Learning in the Worcester Public Schools. On behalf of the office, I would like to thank you for joining me this evening.